let's just jump into it, shall we? Blue-black fairies, ready to lose to some Tron lands. I've got some Damping Spheres and some Ceremonious Restrictions and Disdainful Strokes and Negates, but that's often not enough. Just kind of a blue-black control / tempo style deck. We've got some aggressive threats in Vendilion Clique and Mistbind Clique and some Bitterblossom to pump out an endless flow of Dorkos. And a variety of removal and disruption. Lots of good one converted mana cost discard spells. Kind of the crux of any most good interactive decks in Modern. Morning, Christoph. My morning's going all right. My oldest son misplaced his favorite water cup somewhere last night, so we were running around the house trying to find that before they left for school this morning. They're very, very particular. I would love to play first. This is fine. It's an excellent poker hand. We got quad Secluded Glen with a Spellstutter Sprite kicker here. This deck does want its land drops. I've got like Discard Spell, Fatal Push, Spellstutter Sprite. Hopefully we're playing a matchup where Fatal Push has a text box. As with most formats of Magic, mid-range decks tend to have wrong half problems on occasion in Modern. So hopefully we're not going to see a bunch of Tron lands, and we'll see something where... Right. Well, Fatal Push technically has text here. I don't have a good way to take this off the table, and it's pretty scary in a fair game, so I'm going to go ahead and take the Ascension here. I assume we're going to see them opt at sorcery speed here, since they know we have a Spellstutter Sprite. Ooh, Serum Visions. Okay. Worth noting, this Fatal Push, not particularly useful for killing either of these until my opponent finds a copy of... Or until we find a copy of a fetch land. Collective Brutality doesn't really kill anything in their deck, so I'm just going to go ahead and do this and kind of poke through their critical mass. We know they have an opt in their hand. Gut Shot. Gut Shot's actually quite annoying. It's going to make my Spellstutter Sprite worse down the line. I think I just take the opt, though. What'd they do with their servers? Went one top, one bottom. Take the opt. This is a deck that will want the basic fetch land. Yeah, this deck plays a smorgasbord of Hey, Squat Chief, thanks for the host. Hope you had a good stream. Good morning. Yeah, I think this deck has 2 off-color fetch lands on it. Yeah, I've got 1 Bloodstained Mire and 1 Flooded Strand. I think this deck would definitely replace both of those with... So, I can Sprite this... And they'll gut shot my Sprite in response to the trigger, but that's fine. Or not. Maybe they're unfamiliar. It's been a while since this was a constructed playable Magic card, so my opponent might not be familiar with the fact that, like, so Spellstutter Sprite's trigger is what we refer to as no, this doesn't have it. I was gonna say intervening if it actually doesn't have that. Counter trigger spell with converter where X that refers. So triggers like Spellstutter Sprite check that their conditions are met when they go on the stack and when they resolve. So if my opponent would have gut-shotted my Sprite in response to its trigger on the Serum Visions, I would have had 0 fairies in play when my trigger resolved, and then I would not have countered the... Yeah, they just must not be familiar with the interaction. So their hand is... Oh, they played the Tarn. So their hand is Phoenix, Drake, and then no other cards. I think I'm just going to go ahead and Sprite this. I think that's a good choice, Keel. You know, it's funny. Somebody had pointed it out yesterday. I didn't realize there hadn't been a Grand Prix in KC since 2013. That was actually the first Grand Prix tournament that I ever cashed. Was at GPKC circa 2013. I top 16 with blue-red Delverfay. Gara, thank you for the 5-month resub. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Sweet. Just gonna go ahead and pass here. I guess I could draw step click. If I draw step click, I could take like a Faithless Looting away from them, which is kind of nice. And it puts a relatively quick clock into play. I might just want to take one of their threats away too. I think I push... I guess, like, I could push the Arclight Phoenix because, like, it comes back. But the Crackling Drake, like, guarantees draws them a card. I'm going to push the Arclight Phoenix. They're pretty likely to get it back, I think, if I don't. And while Crackling Drake draws them a card, that's fine. I can still just cast down it. This gives them 2 shots to hit a land to cast the Drake, because if they miss on the draw with the click, they get a draw with Manamorphose. Taking the birds also nice here, because, like, if they were to find, like, say, a Faithless Looting, they wouldn't be able to, like, get the Phoenix into play this turn now. Opponent just says big fat nothing. It's good for us. Yeah, the Delverfay deck was never super powerful, so it wasn't very forgiving. The deck actually had a very good burn matchup, because it had a bunch of Spell Snares in it. Spell Snare is just, like, the best blue card you can have against burn. Like, Spell Snare, Lightning Bolt, and 4 Snapcaster Mage, you had a pretty okay burn match, especially with, like, Mana Leaks and other counter spells considered. This is a matchup. I thought about throwing some Surgicals in the sideboard of this deck, specifically for this matchup, but I also haven't played it, so I'm not sure how necessary those are. I'm pretty sure I'm going to board in a couple of Damping Spheres in this matchup to make getting their Phoenixes back harder. I think that's probably not unreasonable. They have 4 cards in their hand, so be pretty surprised they don't have anything relevant to do here. Another Gut Shot or Lightning Bolt buys them some time. And again, like, it's worth pointing out that this entire game we're ahead because, like, my opponent didn't understand how Spellstutter Sprite worked. Like, if they would have Gut Shotted this in response to the trigger on their Serum Visions, like, they'd be much farther ahead. Like, they'd be up a card, I'd be down a threat. Alright, they ditched one burb to this first Faithless Looting. If they find a second, I will no longer have lethal next turn. I think this deck's a lot like Green Black Rock. Like, if you love the play patterns of this deck, like, it's good enough to, like, register, no problem. But it's not like, if someone's only goal is, like, playing to win, I'd never recommend this deck. But, like, if you are someone like me who loves Spellstutter Sprite, it's like, yeah, sure, this is fine. Like, it's, like, good enough. Alright, so Snapcaster Mage and Collective Brutality are lethal draws next turn. Because I have a Collective Brutality in my bin. I'm going to go ahead and cast this down now, so that way Snapcaster Mage can kill them. Nimble Obstructionist. Ha! Nimble Obstructionist can stifle the Arclight Phoenix trigger, which is kind of sweet. And they, like, chain through some cantrips here to get their bird back. More inhibity. Nah, unless I'm hard pressed to ever register a fair deck in Modern for a tournament. Registering fair Modern decks is just like asking to be sad. It's like putting sadness on the stack preemptively. If I'm gonna play long, draining Days of Magic, I need my deck to be a little bit more busted than, like, what this deck is doing. Finale, eh? So, you're dead? Alright, so Kalitas plays here, right? That exiles the Phoenix. That sounds good. This kills Drake. This kills Drake. And also kills TT. Explosives takes Pyromancer Ascension off the table. I think some number of Damping Sphere are good here. Collective Brutality seems like it's probably slow and clunky. I also feel like a lot of the time I want to be taking their threats as opposed to their random instance of sorcery spells. Cryptic Command I could see going away. It's a little bit expensive. I wouldn't be surprised if my opponent has, like, Spell Pierces or Dispels post-board against me. I'm, like, getting my 4-mana card. Spell Piercer Dispelled sounds like a recipe for sadness as well. If I'm bringing in Kalitas as a top-end threat, maybe I trim a Mistbind Clique, although Clique does block Phoenix profitably, which seems reasonable. Need 2 cuts here. I wonder if it's some of my 3-1s. My 3-1s are not necessarily stellar in the face of their gut shots. Although, like, I'm also just not blanking gut shots, so maybe I just overload. I like that this stifles an Arclight trigger and draws a card, so that seems worth keeping in. You want me to cut Thoughtseize? I think cutting Thoughtseize is probably wrong. Like, breaking up their critical mass is, like, relevant, I think. I wonder if I trim a Fatal Push. Because, like, I'm bringing in Go for the Throat and Dismember, because these are, like, I don't have that many fetch lands, so, like, Fatal Push has a little bit of a hard time killing their 4-mana things. Although it does kill Thing in the Ice, so, like, leaving some or most of them seems fine. I'm gonna cut a Fatal Push at a Vendilion Clique. Let's see how that feels. Yeah, like I need to kill Thing, but like I have 3 Fatal Push, a Dismember, 2 Cast Downs, and a Go for the Throat. So like that's 7 pieces of spot removal. It's like an 8th if you count Engineered Explosives. Plus I have 6 1-mana discard spells. So I think that's fine. Seems pretty reasonable. I'm gonna want to make sure I fetch basic lands post board because the opponent's deck has a good chance they board in Blood Moon against me. And it has a number of non-basics in it. Yeah, this deck has a hard time enabling Revolt Waterfalls. There's only 6 fetch lands in this deck, and a majority of their cards are cards that need Revolt for Fatal Push to kill them. This is a great example of why Thoughtseize is good. In fact, I think if I was going to trim 1-mana discard spells, I would want to cut Inquisition before Thoughtseize, just because taking their Crackling Drakes are very valuable. I'm just going to ignore it as Zintoth. That's a good draw. Ooh. They flipped a burb over. That's scary. So Scalding Tarn, 2 cards I don't know. That's not... Ooh, I wonder, because I drew Basic Island, maybe I'm supposed to play that so I can click myself to try and dig to a removal spell here. I could see that. Trigger. I feel like if we draw a removal spell here, we're probably in a pretty good spot. Hey, Azumael, enjoy your trip. I'm gonna play Mutavault here. And I think I'm actually gonna hold on to this Inquisition. With I think there's a good chance this Inquisition bricks off if I cast it. So my plan is going to be to play Vendilion Clique, target myself, put the Inquisition on the bottom, and draw another card. I mean, something like Disney World's a lot like Magic the Gathering cards, Nivik. Like, people value different experiences and different items at different dollar amounts. I don't think Blaststone really changes elves that much. I think you just want to, like, run those decks down. One of the kind of sweet things here is if my opponent casts another spell here to flip this thing in the ice, it'll bounce the sprite to my hand, and then my sprite can counter the spell, which is fun. Alright, so let's play this, and then click myself. Worth noting, Clique cannot take lands, so that's why I'm not taking a land here. Engineered Explosives for 2 is looking real awkward here. Oh, you know what? I should play the island, because if they flip this, if I played the island, I could redeploy both of these right away. Actually, maybe I just do this. Yes, it's going on 2 regardless. I'm just going to do this. And then if they flip this thing, I can blow up the engineered explosives after I get my Sprite back to my hand. If the only reason you can find to play a deck in Modern is it's well positioned, that means the deck is bad and you shouldn't play it. Modern is not a format that is about metagaming. Modern is a format that is about playing decks that are objectively powerful and proactive. So if the only reason you can find to play a deck is it's a good metagame deck, it's probably not actually good. There is, unfortunately, my neighbor right outside to the left of my window is having some construction done in their house, and there is someone running a power saw currently, because this room that I am in is not soundproof, which hopefully will not be the case in the long term. So I get to trade my Bitterblossom. I get to trade my Bitterblossom and my explosives for their Woken Horror. I think that's a good trade for me. It's probably very faint. The directional on the microphone is usually pretty good, but someone mentioned they could hear something, and that's the thing. So, Field of Ruin doesn't really have text here, but I'd like to hold up Spellstutter Sprite, I think. So I'm going to go ahead and play Kalitas and then hold Sprite up here. Kalitas races this Arclight really well. And it gives me the ability to, like, kill it for good, because it exiles creatures if they would die, which is nice. Yeah, if you listen really hard, you could probably pick it out. So let's go ahead and do this, just to try and stop their critical mass. So, if their last card is an instant or sorcery, they can pick this burb back up. If it's not, they can't. Sweet. I assume they're attacking because they're not... Oh, really? They want to be able to block? Weird. Yeah, I'm just gonna play another Mutavault out here, huh? Actually, fun fact. We can, I think I'm actually gonna put 2 counters on this. Because this is all card types, which includes vampires, so... Good luck, Godspeed. Fun little tricky, whatever, zombie, whatever this sacrifice is. This sacrifice is some specific creature type, and Mutavault is that creature type, because, well, it is all creature types. I'm going to take Serum Visions here because it's, they're going to get to draw a card with it anyways, and they have plenty of mana at this point, I think, so I'd rather just deny them the 2 scry that follows. Getting this up to 6 points of toughness here also means it no longer dies to Lava Axe if that's a card they potentially boarded in, which is meaningful. I think we just like send in the goons, right? I love utility land. They're my favorite. Go. And, like, even if they were somehow miraculously able to, like, play a thing and flip a thing over, like, they're still dead to my creature lands. Because this thing's unblockable. Hey, morning lyrics. Happy Friday. Kalitas so good. Why are you so good, Kalitas? Oh, man. Does this deck want anything other than the new fetch out of Modern Horizons? People have been keeping track of spoilers. I haven't sat down to go through all the spoilers yet, because usually I don't do that until the full set releases. So Bloodstained Mire and Flooded Strand pretty easily replaced, I think, with the new basic fetch land. Makes you a little bit better against Blood Moon. Yeah, the new 1-drop fairy's not good. Is Archmage's Charm a card that I'm interested in trying to cast? Like, I've got Cryptic Command, so, like, I can cast triple blue with some consistency. Archmage's Charm is probably a card I want to test. That hand's fine. Mana's a touch awkward, but... I mean, how many blue sources do I have? I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I've got 19 blue sources, and, like, Field of Root is like a blue source. So what's the hyper geo on 19? Turn 3, I've seen 9 cards on the play. I'm 60% to have triple blue on 3. This deck is 60% to have triple blue on 3. I would like your Bob, please. If we added a 20th blue source, we'd be 64% to have extra blue on 3. And again, Archmage's Charm is one of those things, like, we talk about this, right? Where, like, you don't have to be... Yeah, it's not a card where, like, if you can't cast it on 3, you're, like, incredibly sad you couldn't cast it on 3. Like, if you can't cast Archmage's Charm to, like, 4, 5, or 6, like, it's still a live card at that point in most games. I think I'd probably want to go up to a 20th blue source at a minimum to play that, though. Yeah, this is aggressive. Like, playing Kessig as opposed to, like, Field of Ruin or something like that seems real loose. I'm gonna fetch a basic here just right away, so that way if they draw a fetch land, we can stifle them off of it with Nimble Obstructionist. So they have Bloodbraid, Maelstrom Pulse, and then a Liliana, and then one card I don't know. I think I'm just gonna go ahead and cast this and get my attack on. If they, like, Liliana next turn and Edict this, I have a Mutavault to kill the Liliana. They drew, like, Lightning Bolt here. Resolves. Definitely a legal target. Definitely a legal target. Bitterblossom's a good draw, especially with the Mistbind Clique, otherwise like stranded in my hand. Oh, alright. right, they have a pulse. I knew about that. That's fine. Let's get my race on here with my creature lands. They have Bloodbraid Liliana and then one card I don't know. Y'all ready for some tempo? Y'all ready for some tempo? We're gonna upkeep. We're gonna upkeep, yeah, we're gonna have Mutavault activate itself, and then we're gonna Mistbind Clique them, which taps them off their lands. Okay. Getting punished. They drew a trophy. Oh. Maybe that's greedy. I'm probably just supposed to hit them for 5 and then play Vendilion Clique, huh? Alright, they're dead. Yeah, I think that was probably the greedy line on my part. Yeah, Nimble is like Snapcaster Mage. It's an honorary fairy. Their hand is Bloodbraid Liliana right now, so they're dead. But it definitely, that was a bad line on my part there. Mistbind Clique's a card that boards out in this matchup. At least a couple of them for the liability that you just saw there. Card pulls a Hoagland with some frequency. This is not a Collective Brutality matchup. I don't know how I feel about the discard spells. Maybe this is a Collective Brutality matchup, and I want to cut the 1-mana discard spells. Like, discard spells are okay early, but, like, again, this match kind of tends to turn into a slugfest, and, like, you want your cards to be live off the top. I think I'm going to leave the Thoughtseizes in because they tag Bloodbraid Elf. Yeah, these at least hit their high impact cards. Cutting these seem fine. I'm gonna bring in a couple copies of Negate, I think. Like, stopping their Planeswalkers is fine. I don't think Engineered Explosives is good enough in this matchup, just because the number I'd want to put this on is 2 most of the time, and, like, I have a number of 2s, like my Bitterblossoms, that I really care about. Sprite does count itself. So I think this is what I want to do. It seems okay. I could maybe see an argument for Engineered Explosives over Negate, but it's close either way. I don't know, like, I don't really have other cards in my sideboard Pike that are, like, good top decks, though. Like, the only thing that this Negate could, like, feasibly be is, like, Engineered Explosives as far as, like, things that impact the board. I'm gonna keep this on the draw with a scry. London mulligans falling down, falling down, falling down. London mulligans falling down now, please, Watsy. Yeah, again, Pike, I think the fact that, like, I have so many of this card in my deck impacts that. Maybe it's still fine. Like, also the fact that, like, my deck can't get Engineered Explosives past 2 makes it worse. Like I think, for instance, like, if I had the colors to, like, get Engineered Explosives to a point where it could, like, kill their Lilianas, it would be worthwhile. But without the ability to get it to a place where it can kill Liliana, it seems like, aggressively lackluster at best. There's the one Vendilion Clique I left in my, or the one Mistbind Clique I left in my deck. Thanks, Shuffler. Sweet. I'm getting to untap with this. Land, please. Land, please. So this one doesn't quite make it into my 26 lands later autobiography, but there are 25 lands in this deck, and like 25 lands is like the 26 lands of Modern. Ooh, their hand is really bad against Bitterblossom, huh? I guess Kessig Wolf Run is like technically okay against Bitterblossom. Replace engineered explosives with a blast zone. That's an interesting thought. Huh. I actually don't hate that, Sarnak. That's a really interesting idea. I could see that being like really good. Do I want a backup Bitterblossom? You think I'm escalating this? I'm going to kill their thing and at least take a card out of their hand. So, like, I'm definitely not playing out 2 Bitterblossom at the same time because of Pulse and because of the amount of damage. The question is, like, do I want to hold the other Bitterblossom in my hand in the event that they kill the first one? Is the big question. I might. I think I'm just going to do two modes on here and discard the Fatal Push. And I'm going to take their push. That way they can't kill my Mistbind Clique if I ever eventually draw lands for it. Yeah, Blast Zone over Explosives actually sounds really good. Because, like, Blast Zone's, like, in the matchup where you're, like, boarding in a card like that, you usually want it on 1. So Blast Zone does that right away. And Blast Zone's a land, which is good in these mid-range matchups, on average. Hey, morning, Brecken. All right, sweet. Hopefully if we draw a land next turn, this Mistbind Clique concludes the game out pretty quickly. Yeah, they had Kessig in game 1, too, and it made their mana real awkward. I'm going to write down Blast Zone. That is... someone had asked why there are... This card actually isn't that good against us because we have a lot of non-basic or non-island lands. And now that I've said that, we're going to draw a bunch of islands, I assume. But, like, even here, right? Like, I have 3 lands that make blue mana, and only, like, one of them is an actual factual island that gets choked. Yeah, I agree. Blast Zones, I could even see playing, like, 2 Blast Zones, right? That could even, in fact, Blast Zone could be a reason to, like, get up to a 26 land in my main deck. Good morning, technically. Thanks for the Twitch Prime support. I appreciate that. Thanks for keeping me around. I'd like to champion this, and then I would like to tap all of your lands. All right, so their choke was a double Stone Rain here, but thankfully we've got a lot of pressure in play, so hopefully we're going to kill them before that's relevant. This is why we took their Fatal Push earlier instead of their second Lightning Bolt. So I wanted my Mistbind Clique to be able to punch the clock and go to work. Hey, look, it's another blue source that's not technically an island. These are from Unhinged, or whatever the last unset was. Sorry, someone had asked, why are there a Flooded Strand and a Bloodstained Mire in this deck? For people who are new to Modern, Unstable, that's the latest on one. For people who are new to Modern, 2-color decks like this play off-color fetch lands like that because they fetch things like Watery Grave and a basic. So technically, that's a dual land that has the option to be a basic in the event you're playing against someone where basics matter. Thanks, technically. My better half picked this one out. And actually, it was something we were talking about. So, Modern Horizons is coming up as the new set, and one of the things that set has is there is a what's it called? There's a new fetch land in that set that explicitly, what's the word I'm searching for? The new fetch land explicitly it gets just basic lands. So I will probably, these 2-color decks will probably replace their off-color fetches like Flooded Strand and Bloodstained Mire with that new basic fetch when Horizons comes out. We could Stifle Bird the Fulminator activation. That is true. Is a legal play. Hey, morning, Shaka Shaka. Thanks for 11 months. I believe they're dead here. Like, their out is probably a Maelstrom Pulse. And if they Maelstrom Pulse one of my tokens, I'm going to cast down it in response. I mean, so, like, for the record, this is one of my favorite decks to play in this format. It's just like, you die to Tron. Last time we played this deck, we went 3-2 in the league and we died to Tron twice. I've put a 3rd Damping Sphere in my sideboard for this league, just in case when we inevitably hit Tron, but Tron's a tough matchup for these 4 decks. And it got harder when Tron got Bloodstained. Yeah, I agree, Fearburger. Horizons is not coming to the new non-rotating format. There's too many mechanics in it. They're not programming all of those mechanics into Magic Arena. It's not feasible, practical, whatever you want to call it. Oi, Punk's not dead. Thanks for the 10 months of support. I appreciate that. Welcome, welcome. So, like, the big problem with Blast Zone for this deck is Blast Zone not only kills your Damping Spheres when you're playing against Tron, but Blast Zone also kills your Bitterblossoms, which is just, like, a real drag. This hand's a great example of why there's only 2 Snapcaster Mages in this deck. So, like, while Snapcaster Mage is, like, nice and flexible in the late game, when your deck doesn't have a bunch of Lightning Bolts in it, Snapcaster Mage becomes a good bit worse. In fact, this might be the card that gets cut for Archmage's Charm. That's probably the slot it would go into. Yay! 25 lands! Yay! Magic! Woo! Magic! Great. Hopefully we're playing a matchup where Cast Down has text. Sweet. Cast Down has text. All right, so this is definitely what I refer to as a last creature standing matchup. So definitely want to prioritize Thoughtseizing my opponent's threats here. This matchup's close. Good. Should be another good match of Magic. Just a lot of good back and forth. These, At least I have this Cast Down. Yeah. Sometimes Snapcaster Mage flashes as a naked card, but usually it plays much later. And the reason why you play Snapcaster Mage in this deck is mostly because it's super flexible. Like, it can be a counter spell, it can be a removal spell, etc. And Archmage's Charm does a variety of things in the same way. Why do you need playable snow duels? The idea that you need playable snow duels is silly. Whenever I hear people complain about thought erasure in standard, I'm like, good God, you people would hate modern. Modern is basically Thought Erasure and Wilderness Reclamation decks. Those are the two modes Modern has. You're either getting Thought Erasured or you're getting Nexus comboed. Alright. I banned that user there that was upset that I was making fun of Magic's resource system because their inability to detect sarcasm means they're not going to do well on this channel. And it's not even 9 a.m. yet. I don't have it in me to explain sarcasm to people who don't get it. And past that, like, the other thing that a lot of people don't get, that honestly I find kind of annoying, is like, while I definitely think that people look for excuses other than they messed up for a reason why they lost a match of Magic, pretending that Magic isn't a game that has an incredible amount of variance by design is just factually incorrect. This game has an incredible amount of variance in it. This is a game where they took the 32 best players in the world, 32 of the best players in the world, and threw them into a ring with, like, other random people that they invited that some of whom barely play Magic, and, like, they still didn't have that amazing of a win rate, right? Like, when the best people in your game are, like, managing, 65, maybe 70% win rates against total randoms, like, your game has a lot of variance in it. I just realized your other emotes are in the trash can for Hoogards. They are, and it's an excellent piece of detail. My graphics guy did a great job. There's definitely a Temple of Tilt in that garbage can. Alright, dead to Temur Battle Rage, but never not dead to Temur Battle Rage, so let's attack here. Like, a well-educated and well-adjusted individual who understands mathematics, understands that you can both be critical of your plays and your decisions while you play Magic to, like, grow and become a better player, while simultaneously acknowledging the fact that there are going to be a number of things, often related to the resources in Magic, that are outside of your control. Aren't we dead to Thoughtseize? Oh yeah, we were dead to Thoughtseize. I don't know. We're pretty dead here regardless, so. I don't have it in me, Brecken. I don't have it in me. As with most things, and they just had a lightning bolt, they just wanted to see one more card out of my deck, sure. It's a shame I didn't draw a Spellstutter Sprite here to punish the fact that they did this. As with most things in Magic the Gathering, as with most things, not even Magic, as with most things in life, the correct approach is generally a mix of moderation. Like, you can recognize both sides of things. Collective Brutality is pretty mediocre here. Dispel is fine. I think a Miser Kalitas might actually be okay. It's just a way to, like, gain life back. Maybe that's not good enough. I don't know that I really love any of the other cards in my sideboard here. Maybe I could leave in a Cryptic Command. I have a bunch of discard spells. So maybe leaving a Cryptic Command is fine. Yeah, let's leave one Cryptic Command in. Yeah, Cryptic Bouncing Delve Threats is nice. And just like, obviously 2 for 1 by countering spell and drawing a card is also nice. It's just like, it does come with a very real risk of like getting Stubborn Denial and losing a bunch of tempo, right? Kalitas is good in a ton of different matchups. I think that card's just good in Modern in general. It's good against all the various graveyard decks, while also just being like an okay grindy threat. It's also fantastic in the aggressive matchups because it has lifelink. Yeah, it's reasonable against humans. Just because, like, it blocks and then it gains you life back. It grows out of control. We sacrificed a Mutavault to it in the first matchup against the Arclight Phoenix deck. Opponent mulligan to 6, and again, I'm just going to focus on taking their threats. I know I have this Engineered Explosives in my hand that could potentially kill this Death Shadow, but my opponent could draw discard spells, they could have Stubborn Denials, they could have like an Abrade or a Culligan's Command for if I put this Engineered Explosives into play. So in general, I just want to trade for their threats 1 for 1 whenever possible, as early as possible. Yeah, the best way I can describe Modern Melodic Lyrics is if Modern's a lot like if you are always playing against Nexus of Fate decks. Yeah, modern tournaments often involve a lot of waiting and twiddling your thumbs because like the format, the games are so brutal and quick that like when I played the Modern Open last spring, I think I like in 9 matches of Magic when I went 9-0 on day 1, I think I played like I don't know, like maybe 3 hours of Magic if that in 9 matches. When the new format comes out, are you replacing Modern on your stream sections with it? I don't intend to replace Modern altogether, but I do intend to dial my Modern / Magic Online content back a little bit more, probably. So a big part of why I still do Moto in the mornings is because I don't want to do 100% standard all the time. It's good to have a little bit of variety and diversity. What's the reason to play Strand instead of Mutavault there? For the reason you just saw, I fetched a Shockland tapped. So getting my Shockland into play tapped has value. I think I'm happy with both the cards in my hand here, so I'm just going to go ahead and click them. I know they have at least a Dismember. Would not be surprised to see this get dismembered in response to the trigger. So it's funny. So there's a thread in the Modern Magic subreddit asking people why they still play Modern. And the most upvoted comment in that thread was someone saying they don't like rotating formats and they got priced out of Legacy. So it just like was just like they were only playing Modern because it was the only option essentially. Nah, not at all, dude. Like those same types of people, like your friends, in the least polite way possible. Those people are dumb, like the same people who think Stoneforge Mystic is too good for Modern are dumb. They don't understand on a fundamental level that Magic cards and the power level of them is contextual to the format that they're in, and just because a card was too good for one older format doesn't mean it's too good for this new format. So it's okay to like take a step back, take a deep breath, and be like, we don't know. And it's gonna take a long time for us to figure it out. You wanna know the easiest way to know it's impossible to know? Look at every standard season, where every standard season people constantly evaluate cards wrong in a format that has 8 sets at most. Now consider the fact that these people think that they can make accurate assessments about a format that has five times that many sets, or 2 or 3 times that many sets. Magic just has so much going on in it that there just isn't a replacement for hard work and experience. You can't just skip all the steps and say, I know this for a fact. Hey, Kong, thanks for the 2-month resub. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Is Twin too good for Modern? Not even close. Not even a little. I think I just pass here. It's like end step Nimble, untap, attack for 7. Hey, JMK, thanks for the 14 months. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Thanks for keeping me around. Twin would hurt the variety in Modern. All right, I'm going to be honest, Jeff Fish. And in fact, I'm just going to, you know what? I think we're going to have a new no BS in the morning rule. And I'm going to moderate chat with the subs during Modern just like old times. So if you want to say nonsense that's substantiated by absolutely nothing, like Twin would hurt the diversity in Modern, show your work or GTFO my chat. Sorry. That's just stop perpetuate. I love how after I immediately give the lecture about how there's no substitute for hard work and you can't actually know, someone immediately is just like, but Jeff, I know Splinter Twin would hurt the diversity of Modern. No, you don't. That's literally the flipping point of what I just said. What I just said was, you can't know. Those were the words that fell out of my mouth. Magic players, yikes. If more people in the world in general would just be like, I don't know, and I have to figure that out, or I have to do some research, or we need to practice and do some actual work to find the answer, the world would be such a better place. Just so much better as a society if we could just admit what we don't know. Engineered Explosives was really awkward. I'm going to bring this other Cryptic Command back in. I know, like, I'm bringing in this other Cryptic Command after a game where it sat in my hand and I couldn't cast it, but it's like, I think it might be better. This is probably a keep. I guess the fact that I have both my swamps in my opener potentially makes this not good enough. I have personally tested 8 games of Modern with Twin and know with 95% certainty Twin will ruin Modern. I just like, so for people who are new to Modern, these matchups where both players have a bunch of discard spells are a lot like the Thought Erasure mirrors in Standard, which is that, like, you really don't make your hand better against your opponent's deck full of discard spells by mulliganing aggressively. Like, you're gonna have to run hot off the top of your deck for, like, to be successful. So you might as well keep most things that are close to functional. Spreadsheets, yelling at chat, slaughter in chat. That's the stream I fell in love with. God bless. All I'm going to say is, because most kids who talk about Splinter Twin being too good for Modern, at this point, a lot of them weren't even playing Splinter Twin. Listen, if the numbers that Splinter Twin put up at major tournaments meant it deserved to be banned, then Humans and Tron also deserve to be banned because they put up similar numbers at Magic tournaments. Just for reference. Splinter Twin was banned because Wizards needed to diversify the metagame at a Pro Tour. That's why Splinter Twin was banned. Splinter Twin was banned because we were having another Modern Pro Tour and they didn't want Splinter Twin to be a cornerstone at it again. All right, we found a Dispel, which is like, ooh, they don't have a fetch land. That's good for me. That's exciting. The Dispel's nice here because it means we can stop a Stubborn Denial if they have one of those to protect their shadowy boy here. Looking for like, ooh, okay, So do I... Sure. Phoenix is putting up better numbers than Tron and Twin right now. That's because Modern, for the most part, is self-regulating and self-adjusting, and they didn't give Splinter Twin a chance to be self-regulated or self-adjusted, is the point. Yeah, I think I just want to hold up Jack B. Nimble here. Because, like, if they find a fetch land, I think I just want to stifle that. Stifle that bad Mamma Jamma. Hey, Smiley, good morning. Happy Friday. As someone who never registered Twin in a competitive Modern tournament and spent a lot of time playing competitive Modern while Twin was legal, some of the most interesting and engaging games of Magic the Gathering I've played were against Splinter Twin. For reference there, they tried to lightning bolt themselves and I dispelled it. Because that's where we're at in this game. They tried to lightning bolt themselves and then I dispelled it. Welcome to Modern. Alright, what do we got here? We got a bunch of removal spells, huh? Oh, they're setting up for Big Fish here, huh? We're setting up for Big Fish. Big Fish in. I mean, do I take Snapcaster? I think I take the Dismember here. I think I want to limit their ability to interact with my threats. And, like, Snapcaster Mage is going to be taxed by the fact that, like, they're kind of choked on mana. And, like, their Gurmag Angler's delving away a bunch of stuff here. I think I'm okay with Snapcaster Mage just because of from a resource efficiency standpoint where they're at right now. Yeah, Dismember makes their shadow bigger. No, I don't think I want to trade here. I think I'm gonna be in a position to race actually. Maybe I'm going to be in a position to race. Maybe I am supposed to trade there. I don't know, that could go either way. They do have this fatal push, which makes racing trickier. Maybe they misplay and play the push without revolt. Wouldn't be the first time today. I think I just let that go. Red Rover, let Fishy come over. I guess this lets them fatal push me. Looking for a Doomblade for this as our ideal pickup here. I guess this Inquisition is loose because it lets them play Gurmag Angler out here. Maybe I should have... Yeah, I think I should have sprited... I think I should have sprited the Thought Scour. Is what should have happened instead of crypting that turn. I think I should have sprited the Thought Scour and taken the hit from the Gurmag Angler. Because crypticking the Gurmag Angler was worse in the face of the Thought Scour happening. Yeah, I think we're dead here. I think if I would have... I think the person earlier who suggested I should have traded the Nimble for the Death Shadow was correct. I think that was a mistake on my part. Yeah, they only paid 1 mana for this. Can I sprite it? Are we clicking ourselves? That depends. No, I don't think that's true at all, Fearburger. I don't think the question should ever be, does this make Modern better? I think the question should always be how does this let more people play more cards? Because it is very clear from the decks that are currently legal in Modern that Modern is not a format that cares about quality gameplay. It is a format that is about doing busted, absurd things and killing your opponent. If they try... We actually have lethal on the backswing here, right? So this is 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So if they blink here and let us pay the Spellstutter Sprite, we could kill them on the backswing. Now, I have enough lands in play to activate both my things. Yeah, so, like, if they don't have a removal spell here, they're actually dead. They have a Braid Snapcaster Mage. So if they're one card that we don't know doesn't impact the board right now, we kill them on the backswing. They're dead. They're dead. No, I took one of their snaps with an Inquisition. No, I took a snap with an Inquisition. There's a Snapcaster Mage over here. Yeah. Yeah, walk that tempo tightrope, daddy. Walk that tempo tightrope. Woo! I am confident I made a couple of mistakes that game. Like I do think that not trading with this was wrong, and I do think not spriting the Thought Scour was wrong. This is a good example of, even though I made some mistakes, we didn't get punished. They should have fired... No, they still lose there, Captain Korf. If they fire off Battle Rage in response to me casting the Clique, I activate Mutavault and then flash in Spellstutter Sprite. I had enough mana to do that. So they were still dead. The correct line there was doing nothing. So if they would have just said, okay, your Clique trigger resolves, you take 9, they could have flashed in Snapcaster Mage to block when I attacked them the following turn. So the correct line was them doing nothing. They just say, yep. And then I take 9, and then the onus is on me to not die the following turn. So they blinked, and then we beat them because they blinked. I love creature lands, by the way. Have we talked? I feel like we haven't talked enough recently about my love for creature lands. So the format quality argument for banning cards doesn't apply to Modern, because Modern isn't about quality gameplay. So, what's the word I search for? If your argument is about quality gameplay, one, quality is super subjective, and even if you were to try and outline objective measures for quality gameplay in Modern, you would find a ton of inconsistencies. There are a number of things that are banned in Modern, while very similar things remain legal. Naya Sense, thank you for the 2-month resub. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Tar Pit's a heck of a drug. Unblockable damage is nice. No second land. That's how it goes. Yeah, seems fine. Not amazing, but fine. This would love a Bitterblossom to enable Clique. We were talking about fitting Archmage Charm in here. Mistbind Clique could be another card that potentially is not quite good enough. Three might be too many on Mistbind Clique. That's a kind of a card number I've gone back and forth on for a while. Shivan Reef. Okay, Storm matchup is pretty reasonable for this deck, although Cast Down is super awkward against Burrell. Dubs Inquisition to start's a good start, though. What you working with? What you got over here? Do they just let me take their opt while they don't have a second land? They put a card on top of their deck. All right, this is where the scry is important. They put a card on top of their deck. Yeah, even with them putting a card on top of their deck, I think I take... It's like the ritual or the opt here, right? Hey, Smugface, thanks for the 24 months. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Thanks for keeping me around. I feel like it's this or this. So, people in chat, I see people comparing Ponder to Ancient Stirrings and Ponder to Faithless Looting, and I think you're arguing from a bad spot, Fearburger, that you're saying these cards come with deck restrictions. So, here's a thought exercise for you, Fearburger. Do any decks that play Faithless Looting or Ancient Stirrings, do they play cards that they otherwise wouldn't be playing if Ancient Stirrings wasn't legal? So, for example, look at Tron. Tron's like the poster child Ancient Stirrings deck, right? What cards does Tron stop playing if Ancient Stirrings isn't legal? What cards is it playing explicitly because they're colorless? Zero, right? It just happens that Tron wants to play colorless cards anyways, so then it gets to play Ancient Stirrings. It's not a deck restriction if you're getting it for free. It's not. They basically get these cards for free. There is no real cost associated for the decks that play these cards. Also, again, my big focus on the modern ban list is always talking about logical or illogical consistencies or inconsistencies. One of the biggest inconsistencies in how the modern ban list is managed, in my opinion, is the fact that we hear cards like Birthing Pod are banned because they restrict design space of future creatures and could eventually be too good. So we can ban Birthing Pod because creatures eventually may get too good, but we leave Ancient Stirrings and Faithless Looting legal while continuing to print busted graveyard card after busted graveyard card and busted colorless card after busted colorless card. Look at the number of absurd colorless cards Tron has gotten in the last 5 years. Just take a look and realize in awe how many messed up cards Tron has gained that just happen to get picked up by Ancient Stirrings. How much longer are we on Fate for? This match and one more. Yeah, Ulamog, Thought Not Seer, just like endless good cards. Am I gonna try the new event mode state? No, I pretty much only play standard best of 3 construct. I don't really play the special modes. Yeah, Blast Zone, World Breaker, Walking Ballista. Good golly, Walking Ballista. Unfortunately, Mistbind Clique being super awkward here. I could hold up Cast Down, but if they find a creature that's likely to be legendary anyways, so I'm just going to use my mana and hit them for 3 here because our hand is so bad. Gracie L, thank you for the 5 months of support. I hope you're having a fantastic Friday wherever you're at. Welcome back. Sanctum of Ugin is fairly recent as well. New card. They don't stop printing busted colorless cards, but Ancient Stirring stays legal. But we banned Birthing Pod because maybe someday it might have been too good. Like that. I just want consistency. It's all I want out of life is consistency. Yeah, this week on What Grinds My Gears, yep. So, this is one of the ever-elusive, not quite lethal gifts ungiven. So they're casting a gifts as a value card here. Let's actually put some thought into it. Huh? I think they want the land here, so I'm definitely binning that. I think I'm giving them Past in Flames plus Pyretic Ritual here. Why should I bin Past in Flames? It's all like giving them a mana. Alright, I'm gonna hold up mana this turn. So like maybe make them think twice about jamming. Our draw's been pretty lackluster post opening hand. Yeah, you definitely want, if you are someone on Twitch who spends any amount of money, enable two-factor authentic. Even if you just don't spend money and you care about your account, you need to enable two-factor authentication. Twitch accounts have been massively targeted by, and by massively I mean anecdotally, but the number of people my personal account's been attempted to be broken into and my two-factor stopped them. I know dozens of people at this point who have had two-factor keep their account safe here on Twitch. That their account would have been compromised if they did not have two-factor enabled. There are dozens of us. And part of the reason they've been breaking into Twitch accounts, from my understanding, is because of Twitch Prime. So, like, they send Twitch Prime to people. They steal people's Twitch Prime, basically, is one of the reasons they try to do it. I'm going to trim the Field of Ruin. It's not particularly useful here. One of the things that people always ask when it comes to boarding against Storm is I notably don't board in Disdainful Stroke because in this matchup, actually I'm gonna not bring in the Go for the Throat. I'm gonna leave the Field of Ruin. Yeah, let's do that. In this matchup, the opponents often board down on Gifts Ungiven. Devermon, thank you for the 18-month resub. I appreciate that. Welcome back. The black creature in the sideboard is Kalitas, Traitor of Ghet. This is a card that's good against aggressive decks because it has lifelink, while also being very reasonable against decks that care about creatures going to their graveyard, like the Phoenix deck. That seems fine. Not amazing, but fine. I guess it's actually pretty good, huh? It's got a Fatal Push, a Damping Sphere, and then a Nimble Obstructionist for some pressure. When building decks, you have to take restrictions in mind, not in its value above replacement decks that have no restriction. Sure. So that prevents them from being played in everything, but fundamentally what ends up happening is the decks that get to play them for free are just much better than Fearburger. Alright, I have a Fatal Push. I think I'm just taking Peer Through Depths here. Because this is their way to dig to a method of countering, taking Damping Sphere off the table. We are 3-0 currently. And I'm going to let this, I know I'm usually done with Modern by 9 o'clock, by 9:30 or so. I'm going to play all 5 matches in this league because I really like this archetype. So, Standard's going to start a little bit later today for people who are waiting for that. Get my really impressive clock into play here on my 1/1. Let's do it. So, a lot of people I've heard, like, when I was playing the Blue-Red Wizards deck, people are always like, oh man, how many Storm triggers have you stifled with Nimble Obstructionist? Nimble Obstructionist is not good in this matchup because it randomly stifles Storm. Nimble Obstructionist is good in this matchup because it attacks for 3 and it's a flash threat. We do kind of want to draw more. Yikes. Yikes, that's a good draw. All right, well now we need a piece of disruption or we're probably dead. Ironically, someone just whispered me a scam message. Yep. Yep, exactly what Polly said. Usually if they get to a point where they're putting a Storm trigger on the stack, you're gonna die anyways. likely dead here. Yeah. Yeah, they have enough rituals at this point that we're dead. Like I said, that matchup's pretty good. I can't remember the last time we lost this matchup, but, you know, we had 5 spells and 12 cards. And they hit the Abrade for our meaningful lock piece there. I've not, because if I have a chord that can get a Saheeli, that usually means you're chording for Eidolon or Godok Tigre or some other lock piece. Again, you need to stop the Storm deck before they get going, not try and play some kind of gotcha card at the end, because when they're getting set up to go off, they see so many cards that they're going to beat a gotcha card most of the time. Desperate Ritual and Pyretic Ritual are the cards they use to get ahead on mana. This matchup is tough-ish, especially with a slowish hand from us here on the draw. Looking to see like Collective Brutality, although hitting an untapped black source here for Fatal Push is pretty good. Congrats, Owl Knight. And thank you for the tier 2 reset. Hope everything goes well with you all. No problem, Nivik. So I'm going to go ahead and push this Loyalist off a cliff here, I think. The opponent is likely playing a deck we refer to as 8-Whack or Mono Red Goblins. Light up the stage. Okay. That's sweet. I think I'm actually going to play this Mutavault and attempt to block here. My opponent's down to 3 cards, so if they don't have a Bolt, this Mutavault eats their Fanatical Firebrand. Yep, and the Mutavault got them to not use the Firebrand. It got them to use the ability instead of They hit a Goblin Grenade, yep. Wonderful to see them cash this in to deal 5 here. It's a shame I don't have a Spellstutter Sprite. Morning Wizard. Well, their hand is really bad. People often ask what Mono Red's worst matchup in Standard is, and their worst matchup in Standard is the same thing as their worst matchup in every other format. It's drawing a 4th land. Or drawing a 5th land, I guess. You can have a 2/2. I think a Grizzly Bear is worse than your average draw. Yeah, it's their own deck just not functioning is generally speaking their worst draw. Their worst matchup. Honestly, like we were talking about ban list earlier, and I think the biggest issues surrounding the ban list and the use of it in Magic is actually like a cultural thing. I feel like there's this stigma around making adjustments to the ban list because I feel like a lot of people are of the opinion that like every time you ban something, you've made a mistake. And I really just think that shouldn't be the way we look at it. because Magic is just such a complicated game and there's so many moving pieces and so much going on, especially in these non-rotating formats, that I really think that the use of the ban list is something you should do to sculpt the format. I don't think it's a failure if in, 60 sets we had something that was too good and then we changed it and then it was still too good and we changed it back. There's basically a very large risk aversion. Stealing game 1 here is really good for us. We have a good chance to get one of the next 2, knowing what we're playing against. Yeah, I agree with that, Fearburger. If you're not making mistakes, you're not taking enough risks. Fully agree with that statement. The Greater Aura, thank you for the 15-month resub. I appreciate that. Welcome back. If our Twitch sub was a child, it'd be old enough to stop it from sticking its fingers in electrical outlets. Thanks for the 17 months, Dingo. It's a feel bad to spend. So here's the thing though, Jensen. Let's take Splinter Twin as a prime example. So they banned Splinter Twin. What's the price of Scalding Tarn right now? What's the price of Snapcaster Mage? They banned Splinter Twin, and that deck is still worth, the cards that were in that deck are still worth plenty of money. Like, they didn't just ban Splinter Twin and suddenly all the cards in your Splinter Twin deck are worthless. The same thing would happen if they ban key parts of other things, right? Like, the deck isn't suddenly worth nothing. I think Damping Sphere, especially on the draw, is too slow. Yeah, I agree with that too. It's a feel bad when the format shifts and your deck becomes unplayable just from a natural shift. There are lots of things that make your deck worse, and some of them are less direct than a banning. Okay, sure, that might happen if they ban Tron lands, but take, for instance, what if they ban Ancient Stirrings? If you ban Ancient Stirrings, Tron's still a deck, it's worse, but those cards are still worth plenty of money. Yeah, yep. I play Delver and Mardu Pyro. Yep, you're very used to getting your decks beat. This hand is very reasonable. Collective Brutality is just one of our best cards in this matchup, and Inquisition on 1 is also great. Kalitas, also phenomenal. Just the fact that, like, this is a anti-graveyard card that's also good in these aggro. God, just so good. Fantastic draw. Case in point, the KCI deck is still worth like $700. Yeah, that's a phenomenal example. I think I actually take the Bolt here because Bolt, along with another removal spell, lets them kill Kalitas, and I kind of just want to ensure this card lives. That's actually a decent draw too, because it's another untapped plan for us. So I'm going to play the island and pass the turn here to hold up Cast Down. Worth noting, this Secluded Glen is currently a Temple of Tilt because I don't have a fairy. Hey, welcome Exos Prime. That's also true. It's also not Wizard of the Coast job to preserve the value of cards in the secondary market. Fully agree with that sentiment. So my opponent missed some damage here by not playing this pre-combat, because they could have gotten a trigger here. I think I'm going to turn this Secluded Glen into game 2. There's a good chance they don't have any instants or sources in their hand, so I'm not going to use that mode, but I'm going to kill this and drain them. Are we gonna sacrifice Mutavault to Kalitas for the second time this league? That might be in the cards here. Morning, Brave Earth. Double bolt lets them beat this. But outside of like double bolt or bolt goblin grenade, they're gonna have a real hard time. And like I've got plenty of creature lands here, so you got me. That probably locks the game, actually, the Spellstutter Sprite. In fact, the Spellstutter Sprite means I don't need to draw Substop anymore. Nice, Chewy. Congrats. Yeah, Elves is really good. It's, that and this are my two favorite tribal decks. Yeah, so, I like this deck a lot. I've been playing this 75 or something close to it for a while now. I think this is very close to reasonable right now. That being said, when this new set drops, I think there's some things I want to try. Although I guess I do want to change something. This Engineered Explosives, at the very least, I think I'm going to turn into a Blast Zone. Someone made that recommendation. I think that sounds super reasonable. Because a lot of times we're blowing this up on 1. And because this is a 2-color deck, we can actually get Blast Zone to like 3, 4, 5 in some of the longer mid-range games, which makes it better than Engineered Explosives. That being said, when Modern Horizons hits, I think these two off-color fetch lands probably become Prismatic Vista. The fetch any basic land. It makes us a little bit better against Blood Moon, which is nice. I think these Snapcaster Mages and potentially a Mistbind Clique could stand to become Archmage's Charm. I don't know. 3 is probably too many, but usually I like to start high and then dial it back just so I can get a feel for like how a card really plays. And then we're supposed to have a full spoiler for Horizons very soon, if not already. So I'll have to comb through the rest of that and see if there's other things that I kind of want to try in here. But if you're looking to play fairies, I would highly recommend something close to this. I think it's a good mix of aggression and interaction, and the answer mix that we have in here is very, very reasonable. That being said, onward, upwards, backward, forward. Let's play some video games, shall we? On to a little bit of a Grixis Morning to start here in Standard. Aren't those the same against Blood Moon by being able to get your basics? They get either basic. So like Flooded Strand only gets one of our 2 basics. What Linux do I use? I'm currently streaming from Bodhi Linux, which is an Ubuntu based distribution. Ubuntu LTSs are great. Ubuntu LTSs are wonderful. Do I like it over Mint? I mean, Mint is just Ubuntu with extras on it. I like the Moksha desktop that we use on Bodhi. It's got a lot of it's very customizable and very fast.